Hello everybody, welcome again to Dell'Aria's Musical Escapades, where we bring you some of the best quality music that you've probably never heard of before. And that way you can't sit around your house moping about how bad music is and saying, there's no more good music anymore. I'm your host, Josh Dell'Aria, and today I have an awesome song that I'm so excited to bring you guys. Back at the end of 2017, I actually caught wind of an album that had been released back in April of 2017, coming from folk country artist Amilia K Spicer, and I was really impressed by what I heard. Now this actually came on the back end of her most recent album, Wow and Flutter. It's always kind of funny when I get stuff from the back end of artists' albums, because the last couple of songs on an album is usually just kind of like filler space for an artist to kind of throw together a couple of extra songs to make it an album. But sometimes you never know. Sometimes I think some of the best music is on the back half of the album, or the last couple of songs, things like that. And there are artists who actually make the last couple of songs into singles for themselves, so you never really know. In Amelia's case, the 10th song off her most recent album, Wow and Flutter, which is called Wild Horses, was actually one of the centerpieces in my decision to make her my 2017 Breakout Artist of the Year. And yeah, of course I listened to the rest of her album, and it's got a lot of the same things that Wild Horses has in it that I'm about to show you, but I thought this was the best song that she had on the album, and ended up getting up to number 2 on my top 20 of 2017. Amilia is pretty much a straight-up folk artist, or if you want to think traditional country a little bit, kind of going back to the past a little bit, you can think of her that way. It really just means that her music is not very detailed, it's not very involved, it's very simple and easy to follow. What really carries her songs is her lyrics. You'll probably notice in this song just a lot of simplicity of the music, and then just the power of the lyrics that come along with it, too. So without further ado, let me play you the song here. Again, it's Amilia K Spicer with Wild Horses.
Said wild horses, wind bring her back. In the middle of a runway, of a broken track. Fast as I run, I can't catch my house on mud. Can't tear it down till there's a flood. Till there's a flood. took away the words. Fast as I run, I can't catch my breath. And I love you more than I can forget. More than I can forget.
Similar to the song I reviewed last week, Two Arrows by Real Estate, I think this song does do an excellent job of walking that sweet spot of transparency. What I mean by that is that you understand a semblance of what the speaker is talking about on first listen, but you don't completely understand the song, and it takes you a couple of listens to get it in your head and figure out exactly what it means. You don't want your music to be so transparent that everybody can know what you're talking about right away, because nobody would listen to it time after time after time. But then again, you don't want to make it so opaque so that people don't turn away from it on the first listen thinking that they'll never understand what you're talking about. So I won't normally do this, but in this case I do want to show you guys why this song ended up becoming my number 2 song of 2017. So I want to go through the process of how I came to realize that a little bit more in detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play both of the first 2 verses of the song, and that way, in case you didn't really understand what Amilia was talking about, you can listen to it again a couple of times. From there, just kind of get a better understanding. And so I'm going to play it just once in the video here, but if you want to, you can go back and replay it again and again and again. And from that point, you'll probably start understanding it a little bit better. So let me play that for you here.
Jimmy said wild horses, wouldn't bring her back. In the middle of a runway, of a broken track. Fast as I run, I can't catch my breath. And I love you more than I can forget. Tear it down till there's a flood. Till there's a flood.
Okay, so if you didn't understand it from that, I encourage you to go back and watch it again, or go back and listen to that part again. That way, what I'm about to say is not going to be a spoiler for you. So the first line of the song, "Two sad wild horses couldn't bring her back," gives you an impression that the person that this song is referring to enjoys wild horses, but you get the sense that that person has gone off somewhere and can't come back. Even wild horses couldn't bring that person back. But it's really not until the second verse that you get a good sense of what's actually going on. When the speaker says, "I'm a good man every other day. Can I get my right hand to be a different way?" And then he says, "I'm afraid I built this house on mud." So the reason why he says that is because what happened in the first verse is that his wife actually died. It was his wife who really enjoyed wild horses and couldn't come back. The whole line of "couldn't bring her back" refers to her passing away. And so this man is actually kind of grieving over his uncertainty as to whether he can go on through life without his wife. And when I finally figured out that was what was going on, that was what caused me to think that this song should have been in the running for #1 last year. And, you know, in the past I've had many songs that are written about people's death do very well. In my top 20s, obviously, Keenan Grannis's Forever Blue was a #1 song. William Fitzsimmons in 2016 had a #1 song with Hear Your Heart. Those are also written about certain people's deaths, people who were close to them. And so that's why I picked this song in a lot of ways to be in contention for #1. Obviously it didn't make it. Two Arrows had better music and just better integration of music and lyrics, but if it's a song about death, I tend to rate it pretty well because it's really hard to talk about that stuff. And usually those who do an excellent job of it, most profoundly with their lyrics. One of the things that lets those lyrics shine so much is actually the lightness of the instruments. I mentioned earlier on that the instruments are pretty straightforward. Usually if you have really powerful lyrics, you want your instruments to be fairly sedated and straightforward so that you bring those lyrics out. And also, the same thing with vocals as well. If you have really good vocals, you want those vocals to be brought out. So the instruments will kind of take a back seat to that. Okay, moving on. I want to reference this repetition that she has going on in her verses, which is actually really, really, really well done. As I mentioned in the last video that I made, there are a lot of instances where artists will, usually for good intentions, put in a lot of repetition that really doesn't need to be there. And again, usually the idea is that they're trying to get a particular line in your head so that you sing their song more and you recognize it more instantly. Which to me is one of the absolute worst reasons why anybody should ever put a repetition in a song. In this case, Amilia K Spicer does it a little bit differently, and she just repeats a couple of words in each verse that are, I would say, probably very important. And usually the instances where you want to repeat something is where you can hide it pretty well, so that people don't instantly recognize it necessarily. But also, you want to make sure you emphasize important words as well. And so let me play you this little snippet here of the, this is actually the third verse. And what she does in here, I'll actually point out before I play it for you. The first line she repeats as she had done in the rest of the song. But in the second line, when she goes back into that Wild Horses lyrics, she actually doesn't repeat it, which I think is really cool and keeps you on your heels a little bit. So let me play that for you here.
It's a far cry from being heard. Wild horses took away the words.
Okay, last thing I'll talk about here is the instrumental that's in the middle of the song. And I think she does a good but not great job at this, emphasizing a little bit of the mood of the song, which is basically the purpose for it being there. Obviously, you know, the technical parts aren't necessarily all there, so I'll play that for you guys here too. Really, it's just the phrasing that's the most important part of that. Just kind of lead-ins to the notes, kind of that slide up and down. The whole purpose of that instrumental really isn't to be this technical virtuosity or anything like that. It's just there to continue on the mood. Alright, that's all I have for you guys today. If you do like this music, and if you like Amilia K Spicer's stuff, you can go on our website, link it in the description, but it's ameliakspicer.com. Also, if you guys like this video, definitely make sure you slap that like button like you slap at a bass. And go ahead and share this all with your friends so that more people can see it and all that sort of stuff. And do feel free to subscribe too. I'm going to try to get videos out every week from here on out. Don't know how well I'm going to be able to keep that up, but I've gotten about the last couple weeks, so hopefully that'll work out. If you'd like to as well, you can check out our top 20. I mentioned the top 20 is 2017. It's on our Facebook page under the Notes tab. So if you go on over there, again, I'll put a link in the description. You can just go and check it under the Notes tab to see all the top 20 lists and things like that. If you are a musician, or if you know of a musician and you would like to be featured on the show, or if you know somebody who would like to be featured on the show, anything like that, please do feel free to email us at joshdell'ariasmusicalescapades@gmail.com, and you can send us your submissions there, and we will let you know everything that you need to get your music possibly featured on the show. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!